Hey guys, how you doing? How's everything going? Okay, let's do it to it. There we go. Let's push onward a little bit. Let's see here. Trying to figure out how I can get. I think I can get in here via that. I think it's mate. Yeah. Where did I go wrong here? Hold on. I went awry somewhere along here. You gotta learn from this. Let's see, right here. This is where I'm wondering. I think maybe night. That I knew I made a mistake there, so that's the critical point. Now I know what to do. Let's go back and give it one more try. Okay, dokie. Excuse me. He missed actually a tactic. I'll show you guys. Should play here. I'll take. Not again. Come on. Come on. It's ridiculous. I did this yet last night. Oh man. Gotta have patience. Patience. think that was a mistake. Let's see here. Probably more like a rook move here would have been better. Oh wow. Let's see, we'll do this one then. I can't wait to do the irregular openings. That's going to be really fun. Because the one that we're playing is Gadakamsky versus Karyakin. So Gadakamsky is white, Karyakin is black. Try one more. Yeah. Okay, gotta go fast on this. Quick, 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 quick. Gotta stay ahead of my opponent on time. Lock this side down. This gives my bishop a flight square to go to too as well. Or my queen, and then I can come up here. Trade off his bishop for my bishop, but I don't know, do I want to do that? Just locking this down so I can take scope on his d6 pawn. Position's getting locked down a little bit, so I'm gonna have to unlock it somehow. How do I do that? I'm just gonna have to play here and then play knight up there. See if I can't unbind this position here. I'm gonna try to get to d5. I made it, so hurrah. First step in my developmental sitch. We got this now. Now we've freed up stay focused, stay focused. Let's see here. Shit, I should have just taken. Ooh, I missed that. Okay. One more. I gotta win this one. Then I gotta do this. Okay. Boom, baby. Nope, sorry, I can't. I promised the guys that I would get into the Linux system, and that's what we're gonna do. Okay, let's do it. Alrighty. Okay, like I said, white's Gatakomsky, and black is Karyakin, so this should be an interesting tango. So d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6, basically standard, and then c3, exclam, of course. This is Gatakomsky, guys. We know it's an exclam. Our black can actually, or white could play this. It's an annoying move. Bishop to, not e4. Thought it was e4. It's actually f4. Bishop f4, c5, c3. Remember, we have to get this locked down. b6, b3, c6. And then remember, we got to be careful. This is actually a mistake, this move here, because this is what's played, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. c4. This gets an exclam. Remember, we talked about this. Exclam mark. Then it comes here, and then bishop there. Got to be careful. Bishop, and then c1. So you got to make sure that you don't fall for that trick. That's not a good thing to fall for. So c5 is played. The most natural move for black is actually e6, and white will basically play bishop f4 because there's no more bishop to f5, so that's out of the question. We can develop like that. And he'll play c5, and we play e3, which transposes into like several different lines in the London system, guys. So that's why c5 was played, kind of to mix up the scenario. There's also two other lines. There's this line if you want to go down the King's Indian. There's g6, f4 of course, g7, e3. Oh, so in that line they didn't play that. They played knight bd2, castles, and then e3, which transposes into the Grunfeld variation of the London system. And then there's the wild move of the, I call it the wild move of the West, f5, which is a symmetrical line, which is actually very dubious. So this symmetrical line is very bad, because then you could play queen there and you're still eyeballing these two spots. So, but there is a couple sublines of the third line. There's b6, and then there's queen c8. So we'll go down b6 first, which is pretty interesting. So g5, which potentially, in my opinion, leads to the more of a Trompowsky setup. e6 to protect your bishop, and knight bd2. We're just developing. Just develop, run. You know what I mean? Don't get all in a lather. Just develop. If they start playing awkward like this, just develop. Castles, and this actually came from a game. So if you're wondering if it was a game, yes. So now let's look at the line, the second subline in line 3. Queen to c8. In my opinion, this is more of a passive idea. You still develop with bishop f4, because that's our main plan. e6, c4, kaboom, or boom. c6, knight c3, because now we can go knight c3, because we have a spot for our knight. Also, potentially we have c5. This knight here, this queen here is nothing. She's not a problem at all. So c4, c6, knight f3. Oh, knight bd7. That's right. My notes say h4 to see if we can't peck this or get rid of this bishop. Bishop g. Hey, how you doing? And now we have to look at, do we take? And the answer is yes. We want to take. We get rid of the light square bishop. So now we hold the two bishop advantage, and more likely it's gonna open up. So we wanna make sure that it benefits us. So we play rook c1, so that when we take, if he takes here, we can take with the knight potentially, and then have a pin. See, once this takes, there's a potential discovery on this queen. That's why that was played. And black's queen finds herself awkwardly placed. Yeah, she plays. I'm glad you do it. It's the ability the Lord's given me. I appreciate that. Because it's right along with this rook. It doesn't have any exit routes. It's like just weird, and it doesn't even allow you to castle queenside, so that's not good. There's also one more line D, so our line 4 of that. We did the sublines, the line of a subline 2. So now this is C6 if you place the C6 line. Black hopes for basically a type of a queenside symmetrical position with R, maybe even a Slav setup. But we don't let that happen. We're going for it all. Queen b6, of course queen b3, bishop f5. There's trying to do the same thing as us. B h6. Now that's a different move. h3, e6, and then a4, which is in my opinion, very interesting of a move. You're trying to turn the battle around so that when you take here potentially, and he takes there, you have b4. So queen takes b6, a takes b6, and then b4, and this kind of locks the queenside down, and you now have the grip in the center. I mean, on the side wings. And so this is very drawish though. So if you want to go down or draw, welcome to the line of draw. So this is c takes. This is what was in the notes, our notes, and this gets me a sclam because you're going to win a pawn here. G6, which is an interesting move. Karyakin played a very interesting line with this move here. After he just gambited a pawn, he's just like letting white hold it, and I found that very interesting. You could turn this into a pure gambit for black by actually playing more of a e6 before white's holding on to the pawn. Let's see, before, okay, a5, e4 to get the pawn out with some checking ideas. I'm trying to think, what do I want to play? So e4, a takes b, a takes b, of course, a takes b, a takes b, or is it b? I have to make sure I'm playing this. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Gotta make sure I'm playing that right. Let's see, move 7. Yeah, c takes d. That's right. C takes d. Then b6, because we're trying to Black's trying to break down with activity this structure. Okay, so b6, check. That's our idea. Come on in. The water's nice. So bishop takes, check. Knight takes, knight bd takes, and a4 exclam. because we have a majority on the queen side, 1 versus 3, which is they have 1, we have 3. So we're trying to steamroll down the board. B takes C, and then boom. Now we have 2 passers. That deserves a kaboom, because that's such a great move. I like this. This is like putting the question to black. What are you going to do? Are you going to check here, and then I get to play my queen to a good spot on d2? Or are you going to let me start steamrolling the pawns down the board like a football player that catches the football and runs it all the way down at the very beginning from a punt? You gonna let me do that, or are you gonna try to tackle me on the 20-yard line? Okay, 1. He is up since he basically Gadakomsky in this line would be up a pawn. He doesn't give the bishop. Basically, he's not going to give his bishop up. And normally, it would be a notable, boom. That's basically what the author said. He went boom. So he likes that strategy as well. White's strategy will be to advance his 2 connected pass pawns while basically containing black's center and 1 side pawn, stopping black's and pushing his 2A pawn and B pawn down the board, steamrolling it basically. That's the idea. So that's what would be Gadakomsky's idea. Let's see here. There is a Slav setup. A5 is interesting. Let's see. A5. Trying to see here. A5. And then there's one more line that transposes B4. B4. I'm not B4. Well, is that? Is it B4? What am I missing here? Oh, I got it. Okay, A5 is a potential. That's right. Gotcha. Sorry, guys. I knew I had something. It's an interesting line. And white still will just go B4, E6, and now you moved into what looks like a Slav setup. So more of a Slav pawn structure. This potentially would have been black's maybe best chance, but he played G6 and Gadakomsky played G3. So they're both trying to fianchetto, and that's an interesting move right alongside with Karyakin's move. Those are both interesting lines. Gada could have played Karyakin. This is what's going to actually come down the... Trying to see. Hold on, let me G6. He could Gadakomsky could have went down more. I think they talked about a Slav setup. Even for this would have been B4. That's what they're talking about here. B4, which would have actually given him a better chance of winning. This is actually a better setup for black. I mean for white, not black. That's funny. So B2 to hold this pawn. Castles. Knight BD2. So we're just developing. Develop as we go. A5, because trying to break the center down. A3. Now we have these connected. So if he takes, we can actually take that way, and if he trades, queen trades, we're good to go, guys. So that really a powerful move there. Knight C6, and then E3 to let the bishop out. This looks too slow, basically, for black. This is kind of too slow. It's not as good as the move, basically the move that Karyakin kind of played. So he knew what he was doing. Let me see. So knight to e4, and knight takes e4, of course. Pawn takes e4. Queen takes d. Rook, is it rook takes? I gotta make sure of my notes. Yeah, rook takes to dominate the open file. And knight to d4. Centralize the knight. If he takes here, we'll take back, and then we'll have a firm pawn structure and be a whole pawn up, which would be really, really lovely for us. This way it says, I will take white here anytime. I have successfully played this kind of Slav position. That's what the author says. Too many times with the colors reversed to have faith for black. So he actually played this as black, and he's trying to say he get lost with black with this setup. So he said, so that's why the author says this setup right here that we just showed you is winning for white. You just have to get the lines down. So g2, bishop g2, fianchetto, castles, castle, knight c6, 6, queen b3. This hits the b pawn, and the rook can actually go to d1 now. And so you're eyeballing the queen on d1 when rook goes to d1. So a5 was actually played by black. There's another line, knight b4 could be played, a3, and then now we have b4, and the queen's outside the pawn chain, which would help get this attack flowing faster. So there's also, if you don't like, actually a5, if you don't, let's see, what did I miss here? Okay. If you don't like a3, there is queen to e3, but this is very dubious. It blocks your pawn here, your e-pawn. And why not just move the queen and protect it with a rook, or bring a rook over and then challenge there? That would be a better idea. Knight a5 to attack the queen. Queen b4 to basically, and knight to c4 with an attack on the bishop. It looks good for black in this line, so this line looks good. So just be careful the type of Slavs you want to set up. The Slavs are really important that you play it right, otherwise it'll turn out bad for white. So it's kind of like walking the razor's edge. If you had a knife, it's like walking right on that without getting cut. Very sharp line. a3, exclam, because we're not really worried. If queen takes, the knight could take. We can always reroute in. Queen c7, the queen doesn't want to come off the board, of course. That would be a bad move. So now Gada's going all thrusters go, Captain. Let me make sure I have everything good. Okay. He introduced to black the bishop to the knight now. Now white doesn't have to worry about knight to g4 anymore. Knight g4 would be a sitch for black. So e4, bishop e3. Now white doesn't have to. Yeah, oops. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to put the moves in. He doesn't have to worry about g4 anymore because the knight moved to e4, which isn't as good of a spot. e5 to see if he can't break the pawn chain down. Knight bd2 to see if he can't set up an attack on the knight. F5. And here F4 is a threat, so A to D1 is an important in-between setup, because now if the knight moves, you're attacking D5. This is a very critical move in my opinion. So knight to C6, which is a dubious move. It's like, why did you move your knight there now? I guess his idea is to go knight to G4, knight G4. I don't know. They're saying that potentially F4 would have been a slightly more interesting move than the dubious move knight back to F6, which is not, in my opinion, Sergey's type of play. He doesn't usually retreat. He's like all thrusters go. Sometimes he will, if it gives him a better shot at the opening, but into the middle game. But I don't think that was a wise move sequence there. Bishop D. And this giving the D square exchange for an attacking chance. I don't know. This is now an isolated pawn, so for an attack for black, he gave up his center pawn and created an isolated D4 pawn. So I think Sergey's idea was to play F4 anyways, but actually have a more safer knight and potentially maybe even D4 or potentially F4, E4. It's questionable. Now Gata says, okay, it's time to reinforce the pawn. You ain't getting my pawn anymore. Nope, nope, nope. He's ignoring basically black's threat. So the rook now is going rook to E8 because they have to change their kind of plan. If the knight went G4 right now, it would actually be a mistake slash inaccurate move. Because queen to B3, even if you took here, you could take, and this is hanging as well. So knight takes E3, F takes E3, and rook D8 is another mistake. His position's starting to fall apart at the seams. More likely E4, okay. Crunch, crunch. And black is almost virtually on the edge of collapsing here. It's funny, in this line it would be surprising that black looks like he's on the edge of collapsing, but he is. His king's hanging on by a thread. His central structure's hanging on by a thread. And if he tries to take F takes E4, the knight can actually take on E4 because this pin on the from the queen, the D pawn is pinned. So that's why that actually works and gets an exclam mark. It's a crazy setup, but that's why Sergey didn't go down that line. So we just developed B, and then he went E4 again. Yeah, he's black's kind of out of ideas, and so he's trying to pass the time slightly here. So B4. This is an interesting setup. I actually like B4. It's right up my alley with an attack setup. White desires to activate his queen's pawns because he has a 3 versus 2. So he's trying to get him rolling as quick as he can to get his advantage going. You have to make sure that you do the advantage. If you don't like B, you always have queen to C1. That's the alternate to hold this pawn here. and to play a4, b4, b5, and then just walk down the board that way, and then you're getting your 3 pawns going. So either way you can get your pawns going, but one way is a little bit more efficient. So b5, knight e3 or e7, and b6, which is interesting, an interesting line to say the least, because you're going for reconnecting and potentially taking this pawn. So a6 to whoa, what? And oh, my bad, not a6 on that. That would have been a mistake. Oops. Queen to c1 was played, and then he played b6. There we go. I knew that was kind of, because that other idea would actually be beneficial for white. It'd actually be good for white. So Sergey wasn't going to allow that to come to pass, for sure. So a4 is a potential idea if you're wanting to break down. Then you have b6, queen c6, c4 to break this pawn to go for a check on attack on the king, and then d4 to attack the bishop. So they're attacking, counterattacking, attacking. So queen to h6. This in the London sometimes is a good bishop for black. So if you can remove the dark square bishop when they fianchetto in like the King's Indian setup, and sometimes in the Grunfeld, you can really take advantage of the weak f6 and h6 squares with your knights. Okie dokie, let's see here. Queen f6, bishop takes, g, king takes, e3 exclam, d takes e. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Queen takes e, and knight c6, outpost forever. Outpost forever. Knight c4, and yikes, this is black's pawn structure starting to fall apart at the seams. g5, and then bishop d. Oh man, and black's busted here for sure. Black's totally done, over with, toast, and he's cooked, fried, and set out to bake, basically. g5. That gets an exclam. I like that move. I really like that. If he takes, then the bishop just comes in. B takes c, and then c4, exclam, breaking down. He doesn't mind even gambiting the pawn back, because the whole goal is, I don't know if we get a smother mate potentially here, almost. Very close to a smother mate, because if he takes here, he can't really move there because you have a double check. Oops, not there. That was a mouse slip. Nope, no smother mate, because the queen can grab it. So close. That was close, but no smother mate. If only the queen wasn't there. Nah. Here, until the end of the game, Garakamsky puts on basically an impressive, like Ninovich type of setup. And a few strokes and a few basically positional maneuvers, he's able to take this game over. That's what the author's saying. And we'll show you d4, knight takes, a4. Oops, not that. What am I? Hold on. Takes e4, f takes e4, g5 to play there, attack here to attack in there. Yikesies, yikesies. B, bishop takes, rook takes, queen c2. Rook f8 to start a big time thrust attack, trying to. Bishop takes, basically queen's bishop c8, because he doesn't want to trade. The more trades that come off, the better it is for Gada. So king c2, and black is in basically deep trouble. He is a pawn down, and white has a firm control of the light squares, which is not what you want. So bishop h4 and rook to d3, which is an exclam setup, because you're now stopping the push and potentially getting your own push going. And that's basically an ordinary setup for a challenge of f3 with your rook as well. You can slide this over, and if he takes, you can take back with your bishop, and that would be a good idea. Okay, king g7, rook f3 like we talked about, rook d8. Remember, any exchanges that happen only benefit Gada, so he has to hold on by his teeth. He's holding on here. c4, I mean a4, not c4. a5. This stops the majority from rolling, but it creates a protected pass pawn on b5, so Gada now has black has to watch this pawn from rolling up the board. So that's a sweet advantage that Gada got. c6, bishop c6, and queen b6 to stop this pawn. It's a sad when the the queen has to guard. Exclam. Because we're trying to, if he takes here, we can actually break down, and we'll both have pass pawns. Isolated pawns, but black would have 3 isolated pawns, and we would only have 1. So he'd have 4 pawn islands basically, and we'd only have 3. Which in an endgame that's beneficial to whatever side your whatever side has the least pawn majorities in the endgame. Okay, move 31. Okay, d takes e. That's kind of like almost a forced, which he doesn't have to do that. It's an interesting setup. He doesn't have to actually. He could maybe hold and keep his own passer, but this actually helps white by taking. F takes, and then king to g8. They're thinking that perhaps maybe e4 to disrupt a little bit of white's unity here. They're saying potentially might have been a move that he could have gambited a pawn away, and maybe something like if he took here, maybe he could take. I don't know. It's kind of a interesting setup, to say the least. So e4, d6, rook d6, and bishop to d5. Bishop takes d5. C takes d5. Now we got two protected passers, and we can take scope on that pawn. If you research that, it says black would have dreamed to have played white in this line. They're saying, and white's advantage. He is up a pawn. He has two connected pass pawn chains. His knight basically guns or outranges the bishop, because in a close game the knight is like stellar. His rooks rule the F file here, and he dominates all the light squares. What are you gonna do with that? Nothing, honey. So that was just so sad. C7 to try to hold that, with the last remnant of his attack. F6. So the more trades, remember we said, it helps Gata. Knight takes the pawn, rook f7, and queen to e2. So Gata's just holding everything down. Bishop d2. Trying to sucker white away from this. And then if he comes here, I don't know what he gets there. Oh, my bad, not there. The knight, the queen would be lost. So the bishop, d2 can't be touched. That's a pretty cute move. I like it. Rook f6. Yeah, this is the line there. They even showed this is actually a double blunder for Gata if he did that. Remember we talked here. He moves, and there he takes, and this would be the setup here. But he didn't play that, so queen to g5 and knight to e6. And Karyakin resigned to Gatakovsky here. In summary, let's look at an idea. C3. It looks very similar to a London, kind of a more drawish London system, but if properly played and with more positional understanding, you can actually win here and beat Black's sometimes symmetrical position, or Slav, it depends. So let's get on to some of our puzzles, or if you guys have games, we'll go over that too. Okay, guys, take a look at this. I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back and ready to roll. Let's see how we're doing. Perfectos. Okay. Let's see. Got some good tea here. Trying to see if we don't have any setup here for a check. No, we can't check because of the bishop. Yikesies. If we take the bishop, we get checkmated. So if we take bishop takes f5, check, king moves, and then checkmate. So I'll show you what the checkmate would be. Queen takes f5, rook takes h2 check, king g8, and then queen to g7 check. Oh, not g7. King g2 checkmate. That's mate. I'm thinking about playing queen. I'm thinking of playing queen takes d6. Queen takes d6. That's the idea. That threatens checkmate. And if you're wondering, oh, what about the rook? No, if we take here, the bishop still guards the rook, and we still guard this this pawn here. If we take there, we still guard that pawn. This bishop still guards that rook. So we should actually be winning at this point if we take. Yeah, I'm gonna go with takes. I have to move the king. That's kind of forced. If takes there, we intercept, and at that point, if he takes, which if he takes here, we'd take back, and we're winning. So let's see here, guys. We'll try one game real quick, and then we'll get back in. to hold this pawn here, this bishop. Beautiful. Just trade off all of his most active pieces. Beautiful. If he takes, we got him. If he doesn't take, we got him. Kaboom! I'll try one more. That's okay. If he doesn't want to play, then we'll, yeah, it's fine. We'll get back to our puzzles. Okay. That was an interesting game. It was kind of funny. He was trading down all of his active pieces for my inactive pieces, and I was like, that is so sweet. When they do that, it's like they're thinking they're getting exchanged, but in reality, their piece is worth more than the piece that they're trading. I mean, in positional play. So we got him, and that was cool. That was fun. But remember, it's not about that all the time. I know it's fun to win, but you know what? It's not always about winning. But it's about helping the chess community. That's how we gotta look at it. Okay, dokie. I'm trying to see if if I play queen to d6, what do I get? It's attacking the queen d6. Do we get anything for that? Knight does have to move. Huh. Excuse me. Oh. That was tickle. Hold on, I'm gonna get a drink. Ah, better. But that was odd. Oh boy, I'm trying to. Ooh, that's nice. So, oh, what am I thinking? Don't do that. Bishop takes b3. If queen takes b3, queen takes b3, a takes b3, rook takes e5. The queen's almost trapped, so now we gotta find a way to get Her Majesty out of the entrapment. Boy, this is a tough one. So, what am I missing? I'm thinking, I was looking at bishop to d4, but then he takes. He's attacking my rook. Boy, boy, boy. What am I missing here? Thinking if bishop takes, king takes, king check, king comes up, we could actually take there. What do you guys think? sure. We'll play one here. Because we'll kind of give our brain a chance to rest. Because that's a tough one. That's tough. I don't want to guess. Okay, one more. Kaboom. Okay, let's finish this off now. Boy, I'm trying to figure out. We took a break here, so now we have to get the queen out. Okay. We have to figure out if we have to give a piece back, because sometimes in the position you can't always keep your piece. Sometimes you have to give it up for position. So let's see, what do we got here? Trying to the pawn moves don't do anything, because if we played this pawn move, the rook would come over and our queen would be trapped, so that wouldn't work. Looking at bishop takes pawn on f2. If king takes, which is more likely what he's going to play, do we play knight? Do we play knight and check? And if king comes up here, we could actually play rook over there and then attack the queen. I think it has to do something with here, because then if rook comes over, oh boy, oh man. Boy, this is a tough one. Bishop doesn't work, because he could even, if we played here, he could even just grab it with the rook, and then if we played there, he could just come over and we haven't accomplished anything. If we play knight g4, he brings his rook over to a1. We have bishop takes, king moves. But if let's say knight there, comes over, takes, nothing. There is a kind of quirky line that I was looking at. If we bring rook to a5, pawn takes a5, and then queen to c5, and we are threatening I don't think anything, but or maybe just takes and then we potentially could slide over. Yikes. I'm gonna try a rook here. You're kidding me. That actually is the right move. But how does that handle, how do you handle there? Okay, you take there, he takes here. Well, what do you do now? Okay, you take there, he moves. Oh man, Shevitz. Oh man, I can't believe that was beautiful. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. I gotta see that again. Takes, pawn takes, takes. Right there. He takes there. He takes. If he comes up here, we just take. Queen's gonna take. Bishop takes. Oh, okay. Yikes. Okay, well, we'll call it a day on that. I'll give you guys 1 minute to see if you have anything to say on here. Starting now, so when it reaches 104, then I'm going to log, or if you have something you would like to talk about in this section, be more than happy to go over it with you. So take your time. Okay, you sure there's nothing you want? Okay, guys. Well then, I will say adieu for tonight. You know what? That was a beautiful move. I gotta say, I saw it after that. I was like, I can't believe it. That's so beautiful. That's one of the most standard mates. That is beautiful. It can easily be missed. So you got to work on your tactics. So I have to work more on my tactics. That's what I'm gonna implement, so I can get better and see those subtle nuances. I'm okay, but not the best at this moment. So we will have to continue to go over it. So remember, there are no limits. You can go as far as you want in chess. There are plateaus. You will hit those plateaus in life, but remember, you shouldn't stay there. You should continue to push onward to greater things in chess. If you get bogged down, Maurice Ashley and Yazzer and Jennifer said that you should change an opening. Look at that opening and get a whole new perspective on chess. Every opening is a little different. So that's why I wanted to show you play the London system, because He teaches you how through the system of the London system. It's not an opening. It's a system how to play certain against certain different openings. So if you guys want to go over that, you are more than happy to copy the thing up there and put in there so you can learn how to play and get the love of chess. And remember, knowing is not enough. You must apply. So you can know a lot, but unless you apply it to the board, it's like you know a lot. Actually, that's the best term I can think of. Willing, you can be willing. It's not enough. You must actually sit down and do the puzzles. So those two Bruce Lee statements really kind of summarize up chess in general on studies. You're the person that, as they say, hangs up their coat, hangs up their hat, and sits down and does the problems that most won't do. Remember, you have to be willing to take your coat off and your hat and sit down and actually do it. And if you do, trust me, you will get better, okay? Okay, and the East Coast is getting hit really hard with a very big hurricane, so keep them in your thoughts and prayers that their families are safe and not a lot of damage will come to pass down there, okay? That's what's important. Same thing around the world. If there's storms, keep the world in your prayers too. Okay, guys, that's heavy stuff, I understand, and I'll let you guys think about that because it's something that you can't just in one sitting get it. Sometimes you have to listen to this over and over, and it will one day click and you'll have it. Okay, I'll leave you with that. As Bless You So says, Sir the Lord Jesus, and as I say, God bless. And I'll see you guys next time on Chess Cruncher TV. Have a blessed morning, afternoon, evening. And guys, I will be back on Lord willing tomorrow. And we're so close to finishing Play the London system, and then we'll go into the French. That'll be fun. Good job. You know what? We learn from our mistakes. Remember that. Don't ever think a mistake is bad. It's only bad when you don't learn from it. Okay, be blessed, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.